Hello, good people, and welcome back. Now, in the show, The Queen's Gambit. Yes, it's a great show. Beth Harmon's astronomical rise to the top of the professional chess circuit started by slaying one of the bigger fishes during her teenage career. A win. Nay, a devastating win against the current state champion, Kentucky state champion, Harry Beltic. Now, in the show, Harry Beltic comes in late. He looks disinterested, and he was yawning. That's right, just yawning, bored of his lack of competition, apparently. He shows little to no respect for Beth, and he may or may not have crooked teeth. You decide. Anyways, there was a photo I posted there somewhere. Let's see how teenage Beth slays a state champion. Let's check it. Welcome to Famous People and Chess. Level Up Edition. So this game took place in fictional Netflix, of course. Actually, in the show in the Kentucky State Championship. Beth Harmon, that's her name, plays as white against Harry Beltic, and Beth Harmon here is relatively unknown. She's a teenager, 13, 14, I believe, against a titled Harry Beltic, force to be reckoned with. Beth Harmon plays as white, and Harry Beltic plays as black here. Oh, before I begin, and before I forget, if you do like this content, please leave a like and subscribe. That would be truly appreciated. You have my gratitude. Let's get started. White starts with e4, c6. This is the Caro-Kann defense, trying to push there on d5. And after knight to f3, developing the knight, d5 was played challenging, e4, what to do. And here, knight to c3, not the advanced variation, which would close the position. And after that, bishop to g4, a usual take out the bishop instead of trapping it with a move like e6, and then you have the French defense bishop, which you avoid. And here, h3, asking the bishop, where do you want to go? Do you want to go here, or you want to go back? Waste of tempo. And here, black takes, queen takes. At least for black, there's no issue of a bad bishop. But, of course, white has the bishop pair. And here, e6 was played, the solid trifecta, or rather 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns. g3 was played. Mind you, a very good move, let me undraw all that, it's a natural development for white, simply because this is slightly passive, but also there's no other light squared diagonals to develop, so g3, idea of a fianchetto. And here, g6 was played, bishop to g2. And bishop 2, g7 was played. Castle king, knight to d7. It's important to note before all the knight to d7, bishop to g7, that white keeps this pawn flexible. Flexible as in not having pushed it to e5 a while ago, because this is solid granite, and that would close the position. And here, the young Beth Harmon understands the positional element of the Caro-Kann defense with the fianchetto variation. Queen to e2 was played, now just protecting that, but more importantly, just keeping the position flexible. Black doesn't want to take here on c3 because that would kind of hamper the defense, but more importantly, now you're down, or rather, two bishops have been exchanged for you. Not a good idea if the position opens up. Here, d4 was played, knight to b1. It looks backward, but that's actually very natural. Because if you go here, well, guess what? Knight in the rim is dim, but more importantly, you lose a whole darn knight for a pawn, and now it's just bad. That's bad. So after d4, knight to b1, very young. Harmon knows the harmony of the pieces. Pun intended, definitely. e5 was played. Of course, just trying to capture territory. It does block the bishop, and here, the natural d3. Idea of pushes here, potentially develop there, maybe push here. Knight to e7 was played. Now f4. Now, idea of an f4 is is to challenge the center, more importantly, and most importantly, to push on the F file and, well, cause a territorial domination. Just wanted to point out that after the F4 push, if black decides to take, well, then you take with the pawn, and now you have a pretty good control of the center, and you got the pawn phalanx there going for you. But that's not what happened in the game. After the push on F4, queen to C7, and now A4. Just developing maybe ideas here, maybe ideas knight to D2 and then knight to C4. Who knows what goes in these genius mindsets. And then castle king by black. But now F5. It does hamper the light squared bishop there. But of course, the idea is to take territory here. And mind you, for black, it would be a positional blunder to take. Because after G takes F, E takes F, notice how this comes to life. Notice how F5 is protected. This is broken. It's hard to maneuver the knight here. But more importantly, ideas of after, say, knight to D2, now you can take the center twice. You can take this indirectly attack the center. You just gave life. You gave the light squared bishop new life. Not a good idea. So say after that, now you can push. After E4, yeah, this is over. Very bad, very bad. So after F5, F6 was played. It does cramp out the position, but it does prevent future pushes. And now knight to D2. King to H2, ideas of avoiding the checks, also protecting that pawn. King sidestep to H8. F takes on G6. H takes on G6. Knight to F3. Remaneuvering the knight. Bishop takes on C1. Rook takes, exchanges on the board. Still not a lively bishop, but the position is pretty active for both. Rather, it's closed, but yeah, there's equal chances. Knight to C5, attacking. And here, Beth Harmon opens up the position, and you have to give life to this bishop with C3. It looks like we're giving up a pawn, but after takes, takes. This is very bad for black. Knight in the rim. And then you gain a tempo after takes, after takes. Key move actually here is queen to D2. Just trying to infiltrate there in H6. This knight looks ridiculous. It has to reroute here because this is being attacked. So say after knight to G8, preventing that, defending the 7th rank. Now you got knight to D4 captures, threatening a fork. And rook to F7. Much better for white here because now look how you can just push this pawn later to activate it. Activate the trap card. So C3 was pushed. Instead, trying to annoy the rook there and then defending that as well. Rook to D1. Rook to D8. Knight to H4. Don't want to push because then you get a check and then, you know, not the check that you want, not the money kind. Here, knight to, or rather queen to C8. But now bishop to F3. Bishop to G4, giving life to the bishop. I keep talking about the bishop. The bishop is key in that position where there are potentially weaknesses in the light squares, and hence the teenage Beth Harmon shows maturity in her play. Queen to F7 was played, and now knight to F3, idea of a discovery, potentially to take here on E5. You can't take because your queen is en prise. That's horrible. Now queen to G8. Here, black is forced to go into defense. Now H4 for white. King to G7. I think there was ideas of moving here because if this opens up, you don't want your king there. So king to G7. Now rook to F2. Now rook to F to D1, just doubling up on that file. Look how passive the queen is. Rook to D8, trying to defend the rook on F8. But now queen to C2, begging the question. Well, there's defense here, but also you don't want to not keep your eye on that. b6 was played. h5, just opening up the position. c5. Takes. 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 c4. Trying to get some counterplay, trying to open up this file. But d4 was played by white. E takes d, c takes d. Notice how awkward the king is here. Both kings, this king is safer actually, relatively. Even with his pawn phalanx, this is attacked twice. White has much more activity. White has doubled the rooks. This is slightly up for white. Beltic is not in mortal danger here. Knight takes, rook takes. But here comes an attack. It's a 13-year-old Beth Harmon just pushes e5. If you take, well, you lose that. You don't want to lose that. So now pushes. Bishop takes. If you take, you still have that. Queen to d5, vying for activity. But here comes the whopper of a move. I said whopper. Beth Harmon switches from positional maneuvering to tactical chess with the move bishop to e6. The thing is, if you take, you lose the rook, and after knight to g6, well, you're down a piece. But if you try to be clever, then rook to f2 happens, and after takes, and if you decide to take, well, you're going to be up, or rather down. You're going to be down. Queen to f8. After that, notice where your queen and king is, and you lose the game. So Beltic finds, after bishop to e6, the appropriate defense, and that is bishop to, or rather rook to h8. That's a rook. And the thing is, you have to block here, because if you go here, would be okay, I guess, if you're a teenager against a master level opponent. But that is a checkmate. And of course, Beth Harmon knows that, so blocks here. But the next move is critical for black in order not to lose. And the move black needed to find was to blockade the queen there. Fortunately, and fortunately in the show, he doesn't find it. He plays knight to g6, which spells doom. The thing is, this is the idea. After rook to d3, blockading against the queen's diagonal, you have rook to f7, king moves, rook to f8, and then repeat, and after takes, all is well. Black actually has to defend against that, or rather white. But in the show, knight to g6 was played, and after that, here comes a barrage, a rain of tactics. Rook to f7, king moves to the side, and now queen. Oh no, my queen. That's what happens. Oh no, my queen. After king takes, it's forced mate. In the show, I think Beth Harmon was touting and telling Beltic, you know, you should have given up your queen a while ago. A while meaning after rook to f7, take here. After takes, maybe you can prolong your suffering, but after ideas of checkmate, white is winning, but not in a forced, tactical, Tal-esque fashion. But after the king decided, or rather black decided not to give up the queen for the exchange, king to h6, then allows the crazy queen to g6. After king takes, check. And check. And rook to f6. And notice how the king is being pushed. So check first. Check again. This is a ladder mate-esque. But because of the bishop, the next move is checkmate. Everybody was bewildered. They're wondering who this young lady is who just demolished potentially a future grandmaster, and who would have routed the Kentucky State Championship, but couldn't do so because of Beth Harmon. It's a bit of a longer game with master analysis, but just goes to show how much care was given for, the games curated in the show. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you guys for more content. Peace.